All right, what's up, everyone? This is a new episode of Sports Harder. Bum. I am your host, as always, Maddie Lukewarm Ice. We are coming to you live on this lovely Saturday morning. And as always, joining me and with me by my side, sticking with me through thick and thin, my great co-host, Chris the Gorilla Binder.
What's up?
What's up, man? You gotta start off, man. Like, come on now.
Oh, yeah, I gotta do the flex. We didn't do that last episode at all.
That's what I'm saying. I had to remind you. Come on now. Like, you have a young mind. You should be able to remember these things. Like, let's go.
Nah, dude, I'm old now. Almost 40. That's terrible.
Terrible. Man, well, how's it going there, Chris? I feel like it's been a while for some odd reason. I don't know why, but it just feels like it's been a while.
Yeah, we haven't really talked much this week. Normally we're talking like almost every day. But no, it's going, man. Just living life, being an adult.
Doing adulting things, yeah, I know.
Yep.
That's always a bummer. But well, at least we can, get away from doing some adulting and have some fun with the podcast here. Get away from the things of life. If you all don't know, I was on a podcast earlier this week on my birthday, actually, and it was a lot of fun. I posted it on our Facebook page and try to get people to watch it. It's called the Sports Crib, I think is how they pronounce it. It's kind of spelled a little differently, but if you go on our Facebook page and you go on there and click on the video, watch it, give them some views, subscribe to them, show them some love. I think they're just starting out, so they need a little help getting off the ground. And even with us doing as many episodes as we've done, I think we're on episode number 98 right now for this one. We're still trying to get our feet off the ground as well. So any love and appreciation showed to them will be much appreciated. And you get to see my beautiful face as always on there, so no. Go check it out. You can let me know how I did on there. I felt a little nervous, because I wasn't the host, so I didn't have much control or say on asking what the questions were, what the topics were. But those guys were very, very knowledgeable. It was really cool being able to talk with them. They knew their stuff. And I think that's what a lot of people look for when they want to listen to a sports analyst, is they want to make sure that they know their stuff. I think they knew their stuff a little bit better than I did. So, definitely go and check that out. So we're going to start off, as always, on the podcast with what's going down. And the major news of the week, of course, was Tiger Woods and his car accident. One thing that I took from it was, that they said that he wasn't drunk. He wasn't on anything. So I think that shows some promise. We talked about on the podcast that I was on during the week, and I think it's an interesting topic to discuss, and I wanted to get your viewpoint on it. Of course, is Tiger Woods, is he at a stage of being able to come back again? Is it worth it from all the injuries that he suffered from the car accident? He had a lot of the leg fractures, and he had to have surgery and different things like that. Do you think it's still something that he needs? Well, I guess let's start off, two-part question. So first part answer, do you think he needs to do it, like to try to surpass Jack? Or part two of the question, do you think he wants to, like that he wants to go through it all again and try to make another comeback like he did last time?
I think after this accident, it may change his perspective on passing Jack Nicklaus. He may not want to now. He may not have that drive to do it because, like, this might have taken some stuff out of him. Now, he wants to come back. Tiger Woods is a fighter. He's been through a lot during his career. Like, it's just his ex-wife bashing his like entire car up with a golf club, his back injuries, like everything that he's gone through, and he's always come back. He's always been resilient. I think he'll continue to be resilient. I think he'll fight through this and try to come back, kind of the same way Alex Smith did with the Washington football team. You know, he'll come back. He may not be the same player, honestly, but he's at least going to come back, and he's still going to play some golf. So golf it's his life. You know, it's been his life since he was 5 years old.
Yeah.
So I don't think him breaking his legs are really going to stop him from coming back and playing. Is he going to play at the same level? Probably not, because golf is a lot of legs. Like you use your legs a lot in all of your shots. You know, putting is about the only one your legs aren't really involved in. But as far as passing Jack Nicklaus, he's a competitor. I don't think he needs to do it at this point, but he may still want to. I don't know. He may still try to.
Yeah, I think I think the difficultiness, and I said this on the show during the week, that I probably would made a lot of golfers mad by saying this, but I feel like the physical demand of golf isn't as hard as, say playing football, or even like basketball, just because of the amount of games that they play. And we've seen players, right now struggling with injuries, coming up over and over again once they've suffered the first major injury. So I feel like golf is easier to come back from. Like, if Tiger wanted to come back and play, he could. Like you said, do I think he's going to be at his like top peak like he used to? No, he's never ever going to get back to that form, because when he was at his top peak, he was young and healthy and, was dominating everyone. I don't think Tiger has to prove to anyone anything anymore. Like, I think he's going to go down as one of the best players in history. I think him and Jack Nicholson are literally household names when it comes to golf. Like, they've solidified their names that way, where even if you don't know golf, if you don't follow golf or watch golf, if you walk up to someone and say, like, do you know who Tiger Woods is? They're going to say, yeah, he's a golfer. So he's solidified his name in that way. So I think
100%.
so I think he's fine. He doesn't have to do it. I agree with you that I think he'll want to. And he came back from, easier circumstances before, because it was more mental circumstances that he had to come back from, just because, he had tarnished his name outside of golf. And so that was what was really hurting him. But it seems like he really had made a change. I feel like he had changed for the better. He got help. Recently he had been playing in a tournament with his son, so it just seems like, he was on the right path again, like he used to be when he first, got really, big and famous out there. So, all right. So the next thing that we could talk about, especially since you brought it up, is Alex Smith basically coming out to reporters and saying that he threw a wrench in the plans of the Washington football team by coming back. So with him coming out and like saying this, do you feel like he's trying to stir up some trouble so maybe he can go to another team and try to start? He was basically saying they had excuse me, they had no faith in him, is what he said basically, and that he felt that they never thought he was gonna come back. I think almost he didn't outright say it, but I feel like he's trying to convey that the Washington football team kind of just kept him around as like a publicity stunt, just a feel good story, like, oh, hey, we didn't give up on him, he had this serious injury where he probably couldn't play anymore, but we still supported him and helped him through it. I mean, I guess, that's kind of another two-part question again for you. I keep on giving you those. So the first part, what do you think Alex Smith is trying to accomplish with making that statement? And do you feel the Washington football team still, wants to have him around?
That's actually a really good question. Like, I don't think he really meant to call out the Washington football team, but he was more of, look, they doubted me just as much as everybody else did. Because I don't know anybody that really thought Alex Smith was going to come back after that injury. Like, that was a brutal injury. And having 17 surgeries, almost dying from it, almost having to have his leg amputated.
Yeah.
Nobody expected him to come back to football. So, of course, when he steps back on the field, it throws a wrench in plans. Like, it's, holy crap, this guy's really actually playing again. Oh, wait, he might actually get hit and it's going to mess him up again. And then he took his first sack and he was like, all right, pop back up, played. Like, you could tell that there was still some tenderness to his leg. Like, when he threw, he didn't have a full plant. But, I mean, that's to be expected. He's unsure of how the leg's actually going to function as well. But as far as, I honestly think the Washington football team will keep him around because he's a good quarterback. Like, he's not Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Pat Mahomes level. He's never going to be the MVP of the league, but he's a solid starter. He can get the job done. So he's like a Fitzpatrick almost, maybe a little better than Fitzpatrick, but he's at that level where, you can bring him in as a starter and he'll get the job done. It doesn't mean he's going to throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. He's going to be a solid starter for you.
He used to do that when he was with the Chiefs, though. Like, when he was playing with the Chiefs, he was putting up those kind of numbers.
Yeah, but look at the weapons the Chiefs have, and then look at the weapons the football team has.
Yeah.
Like, he had the same weapons that Pat Mahomes has. Like,
yeah.
So he had the team around him to do it. Now, as far as, I don't know, I could see him playing and finishing out his contract with Washington football team and becoming a free agent, and maybe playing like a couple more years after that. Honestly,
do you think that? I mean, I guess I assume they'll probably have a quarterback competition, obviously, when these type of things come up. But I mean, do you feel that he has a chance? Because, I mean, I guess it depends if the Washington football team goes after a quarterback in the draft. But, do you feel like that I feel like if they get a quarterback in the draft, they're kind of just bumping him down to third string again, where he was originally. And they basically just brought him in because they were like, well, all of our other quarterbacks either sucked or got injured. So we had no choice but to put you in.
Yeah, my thing is, like, why are they paying a third string as much as they're paying him?
I didn't even know he was getting paid that much.
Yeah, he has a pretty decent contract with them. I mean, it's not the greatest contract.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Pat Mahomes' contract.
What a great comparison. the one who's getting paid the very most in the NFL.
But he did sign a 4-year, $94 million contract with a $27 million signing bonus and $71 million guaranteed.
Man, I figured most of that went out the window though when he got injured.
No, I think they get a percentage when they're injured, but they don't get the full amount. But he's healthy and he played. His cap number this year is $24.4 million.
Oh, wow.
So Washington may actually cut him. I didn't even realize that his cap number was that high. Washington may cut him just because of how high that cap number is. Open up some space to bring in some other players,
Yeah.
But, I mean, watching Tyler Heineke play, the kid's got it. Like, he's young and he's definitely got some heart and he can lead the team. Like, the team rallied behind him pretty well when he played.
Yeah. I'm just skeptical with him though, just because it was one game. Yeah, it was a playoff game, which showed a lot of heart on him, and that the pressure didn't get to him. But he was playing in an empty stadium, no fans, no nothing. Um, I just feel like there's a lot more pressure to it when it's like a normal regular season than it was the way that the season was played this year. So, um, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not saying that I hope he does bad. I root for any player trying to make a living and trying to make some money. I hope he does really well and makes a name for himself. Um, but I can't really judge how I feel about him from one game yet, because we've seen plenty of times in the past how a player who has a flash in the pan can mislead teams somehow. And Fitzpatrick is one of those. He misled teams plenty of times where he would have like 5 good games, and then they were like, oh well, let's pay him and keep him, and then they did it, and then he wasn't able to do it the whole season. So
Yeah.
so we'll see. But I do hope he does well, for the Washington football team. Alrighty, well, the next thing that we can talk about, and things that have been rolling around in the NFL as well for this off season, and a lot of it is going to be quarterback driven, just because the quarterback is one of the most important positions in the NFL. So Russell Wilson, coming out and saying that he was unhappy with his offensive line. He's tired of getting hit all the time. He's tired of scrambling all the time. And I'm a little biased being a Rams fan, because, hey, if I had to play against Aaron Donald twice a year, every year, I would be upset too that I'm getting tackled by that guy all the time. Because they actually did a stat where Aaron Donald has sacked Russell Wilson the most out of all the quarterbacks that he's played against. He has sacked him the most.
I mean, both games this year, he had 3 sacks against him.
Yeah. So I can understand why he would want the offensive line to be better. I can understand, why he wants to have some say. Russell Wilson has a lot of leverage going his way. He just recently won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. He's got a Super Bowl under his belt. He's the face of the franchise. He does a lot outside of the community as well. He basically has all the leverage in the world, just because he knows that if he wasn't there, that team wouldn't be the team that it is. And I agree. He wills that team to win games most of the time. And he's proven it time and time again. And I hate saying that because I hate the Seahawks, but it is true. He is that type of player. So I guess Pete Carroll had talked with Russell Wilson and said, hey, you need to chill, pump the brakes. We'll talk. You just need to trust us that the plan that we have is going to work. And I guess Russell Wilson still didn't like that. He didn't like what Pete had to say when it came to what he was wanting and how he wanted the team to look. So of course, now Russell Wilson has said there's teams floating around that he would like to be on. He had 4 teams that he had listed. One of them was the Bears, the Cowboys, the Raiders, and then I'm trying to think of the 4th team that he said that he was willing to go to. Can't remember now. I can't remember if it was the Jets or not, or maybe it was Miami. I can't remember. But he basically had those 4 teams that he's saying that he's willing to go to. Now, I had messaged you as soon as he had said that, and I said, hey, look, he wants to be a Raider, or potentially be a Raider. So what I know what you told me, but I'm not going to give it away. So what are your thoughts with him wanting to be a Raider? We'll start out with that question, just since you are a Raiders fan, and then we can get into how you feel about the odds of him maybe going to one of these other teams, or if he's just going to stay in Seattle.
No. No, 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 no. It sucks because he's a perennial, probably top 10 quarterback. But we already have a top 10 quarterback. So why? Oh, because he can run the ball better than Derek Carr. Yeah, there's a reason Marcus Mariota was the backup. Like uh, Russell Wilson's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He really actually is. Problem is, he just wants to go to a team with a good offensive line, a strong offensive line, a proven offensive line. Why he would say the Bears, I have no idea. Their offensive line was like 24th last year.
Yeah,
Like Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles got hit a lot.
it was
Like,
terrible.
yes, that was Charles Barkley terrible. But seriously, I no, I don't want him to be a Raider. I like Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr give Derek Carr a top 15 defense, and Derek Carr will be in the playoffs, hands down.
Yeah.
Like, spend our money elsewhere. The funny thing is, everybody's talking about it, but nobody's mentioning how much it would actually cost the Seahawks to trade him. They trade him to another team, they still have to pay him $39 million this year.
Oh man.
Like, that doesn't hit any other team but the Seahawks. They would still have to drop $39 million if they traded him. They're not going to trade him this year. They're not. And he actually came out. So his camp, meaning his publicist, his agent, like all of his people, are the ones that actually came out and said he's demanding a trade. He came out and said, no, I'm demanding that they fix things. I want to be a Seahawk. I'm willing to be traded. And if I'm traded, these are the 4 teams that I would like to go to. But I would prefer to stay a Seattle Seahawk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, take that for what it is. But I don't see him being traded this year. They would owe him way too much money, and there's no way they would get the compensation back to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard when you have to owe people money. It makes it harder to get rid of players. Just because it doesn't serve any purpose for you, even if you get like draft picks and stuff like that. Because I know some people were talking about like 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson. But even so, like you said, you still take that hit, that cap hit. So it doesn't really help you out that much. I definitely see him still being a Seahawk just because, like I said, he's the face of that franchise. Like, I can't see him ever leaving even after his contract is done. I feel like they'll still throw however much money he wants at him to keep him, and they'll call it good and keep him a Seahawk until he retires. But I don't know. I mean, Russell Wilson, just like any player, is competitive, at least you would think so, and wants to win. So it's one of those things where it's one of those.
Had a guest appearance of my daughter. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. Hey, I love it. I want to get as many people involved that wants to be on the camera as possible. It makes us look a lot better. You know, we don't have the best looking faces, so if we can brighten it up with some better looking people, I'm fine with that. Then she doesn't show her face after I say that.
That's funny.
But yeah, anyway, so I feel like Russell, he's a competitor, and so I don't know, maybe when his contract is done, he'll want to go somewhere where he knows he can win better, because I mean that's possible as well. But alrighty, well,
I honestly think I just want to throw this out there. I honestly think the reason that he's bringing up these concerns is because he wants a long career, and the more you get hit, the more your career shortens. So I mean, it's a valid concern. He wants to play in the league as long as Tom Brady has. You know, he wants to be there for a long time, as long as Drew Brees has. You know, he wants a long career, and when he's getting hit, like I think he was sacked like like 60 plus times last year. It was like in top 5 for most being sacked.
Yeah.
Like he was sacked so much last year, and taking those hits and having to run around and extend plays, that shortens your career. It really does. And I think, like I said, I think it's a valid concern of his to actually bring up.
Yeah. Like I said, no, I totally agree. It's a valid concern just because, like I said, I wouldn't want to be getting sacked by Aaron Donald that many times every year. That's a big dude
I
to
wouldn't
be
even want to get
sacking
hit by
you.
that dude. I wouldn't want to get hit by Aaron Donald once.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, talking about long careers and trying to make it longevity, I guess you could say. Big Ben now is a hot topic for the Steelers, and every year, people think, oh, is this his last year? Is this his last year? Is he going to retire? Is this his last year? So Big Ben now in talks, he wants to come back. But the Steelers basically are saying, hey, we want you to restructure your contract if you want to stay, because we feel like we're paying you too much, and restructuring your contract will help us to, get other people to come in, obviously. Especially if they want like a JJ Watt or something like that to actually, come in and play for them. They need a good amount of money, because JJ is asking for, I think they said around 14 or 15 million, if I'm right.
Yeah.
So yeah, with the Big Ben situation, how do you feel if you were the Steelers, like, owner or GM or whoever you think would handle this situation? How do you think you would handle it with Big Ben?
Big Ben's definitely not the quarterback he used to be.
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna give you 7 touchdowns and 650 yards in a game again. It's just not gonna happen again. Especially with like Juju Smith-Schuster wanting out. Like Juju says he's gonna test the market. He's not gonna sign with the Steelers. So yeah, I would ask him. I'd be like, hey, we need to bring in a top receiver for you. We need to bring in, our defense is stout. Like they don't really need JJ Watt. And I don't think they're even going after JJ Watt. JJ Watt came out and said that he's down to 3 teams that he wants to play for. So it is what it is. The Steelers were not one of those 3 teams, by the way. But I think the Steelers.
What was one of the teams? What was the 3 teams that he wanted to play for?
It was the Packers.
I like put you on the spot when I asked that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that JJ said that, so that's why I was curious. I had no idea that he actually came out and narrowed it down to 3 teams.
Yeah, there it is. He says he hasn't like really fully narrowed it down. But there's 3 teams that are in the lead, and it was the Packers, the Titans, and the Bills.
Oh, okay, wow.
So those are the teams that he was really like pushing for. But back to Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
I think it'd be smart for him to restructure if he wants to continue playing, so they can actually bring in somebody that can like actually help him out, help them win, get them over that hump. Because obviously Juju Smith-Schuster wasn't it, but there are other wide receivers on the market. There's other defensive men on the market they could actually target. Maybe actually go after a running back, because James Conner, not the answer.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I feel like if I was the Steelers, I would almost kind of force him to retire. I would just be like, listen, like, we appreciate all that you've done, the Super Bowl wins that you've brought, taking us to the playoffs, for however many years, and, keeping the Steelers relevant. But, Father Time catches up to all of us, and, we need to move on. So you can bow out gracefully and retire as a Steeler, or, we can, move on from you. and try to either trade you or cut you. Now, if he gets cut, they take a huge hit because he still gets paid either way. So it's almost like the Steelers have to keep him around at least for one more year because of the amount of money, that he's going to be getting, from his contract if he gets cut. But I feel like if he can't make those deep throws like he used to do, like you said when he was younger, this is a league. This is the NFL is in a place where you have to be able to throw the deep ball. Like you got to be able to bomb it and score 50 points a game to compete with teams like the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to compete with a team of Patrick Mahomes, where all he has to do is flick his wrist like this and it goes 80 yards, like you got to have that in your pocket. Now it's hard to find that. It's hard to find someone that can do that. I'm not saying that the Steelers have all these great options to turn to, but they had to come with face the facts that Big Ben's not the answer and he's not going to win them a Super Bowl. As much as Big Ben wants to ride out on a horse into the sunset like Peyton Manning did, I don't think the Steelers defense can win them games like that Broncos defense did for Peyton Manning. So
oh no way.
yeah. So they're just gonna have to face the facts, and it sucks when it comes to that, like I said, just because it's one of those things where he's done all that great stuff for them, but time to move on when it comes to that. Alrighty, well, I'm trying to take a look now to see some other big topics in the NFL, because I think I've covered most of them, and we kind of talked about J.J. Watt a little bit as well. That's right. Now that I'm scrolling through, one last thing we can talk about, I guess, before moving on, because mostly it's just draft stuff now, really, to talk about. But so the Patriots, obviously trying to find a quarterback, talks of Marcus Mariota maybe going to the Patriots. How do you feel Mariota would fit as a Patriot? I mean, obviously he could fit the Patriot culture, but I'm saying in the sense of like actually playing on the field, because I mean they're in a division now where you have the Bills, who seem pretty dominant. They have Josh Allen. And then you have the Dolphins, who I don't know if they want to stick with Tua, but they're still an up and coming team now. The Dolphins are no joke anymore. So having those two teams in your division, how does, Mariota play out and being able to help them?
I think he fits in perfect because he's a lot of the same type of quarterback as Tua and Josh Allen, like gunslinger, with the ability to run the ball and get out of the pocket and do what he's got to do. He proved that in his one game with the Raiders that, he still has that in his game. He still has that in his arsenal. The talks of the trade is actually like, I'm excited for it because the Raiders are talking. So the conversation of the trade is the Patriots would get Marcus Mariota and a second round pick and from this year. And then the Raiders would get Stephon Gilmore and a fourth round pick.
Oh, wow.
Like I would be ecstatic with that trade, like 100% ecstatic. If we don't really get much from Mariota, if like we get like a fourth round pick, I'm going to be a little pissed. Like, yeah, he's a backup quarterback, but really fight for that Stephon Gilmore trade. Like I'm calling the Raiders out here, fight for that because we need that presence on the defense, everybody's like, oh, well, this year he didn't play that well. Well, he played 4 games this year because he got injured and then he got COVID. Like, it's okay. Stephon Gilmore I still think he's got it in him to be defensive player of the year like he was last year, like the year before, not this last season, but yeah. Like he's still got it in him. Why would you not try to trade for that guy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of shocked when he said that because it's just like, he's the leader of the Patriots defense and he's their main guy. And we've seen what happens when the Patriots defense isn't as top tier as it's been in the past, and they weren't able to play so well this year. Now I feel like they had Cam Newton in there and they didn't use Cam Newton as the right way. They almost put him in as a giant running back at quarterback. Basically, they
Mhm.
just hiked him the ball and had him run with it. So Marcus Mariota would definitely be able to add some more dimension, obviously, to their team with being able to throw the ball. But are the Patriots going to be able to use him the right way as well? Or are they going to just sit there and try to have him run the ball all the time? Now, I'm not saying you can't do the option, obviously, with him, like, because he has that dual threat ability. But with Cam, they almost kind of knew, like, when he would do the option, that Cam was going to keep it. Like, he's that type of player. He wants the ball. So it's just like you knew every time they ran the option, like, well, I don't have to worry about focusing on the running back because I know Cam's going to keep it. So, just you could go right after Cam. So, yeah, I feel like Mariota would help them. Would it help them be able to win that division? No. Would it help them make the playoffs? I don't think that would happen either. I don't think they would make the playoffs. So it would just help them improve, obviously, but I don't think it's going to get them to what they're used to. I feel like the Patriot culture now is just like, if we don't win a Super Bowl, then what's the point? Which I guess should be the mentality of every team, but some teams are comfortable with improving. They're comfortable with, we've gone 20 years without making the playoffs. We made the playoffs. That's awesome. Okay, we're excited about that. Now, let's take the next step. Like, I almost feel like, huh?
Nice call out. Nice call out of the Browns there.
Well, yeah, as I was about to say. I was about to actually say that was the next thing that was going to come out of my mouth. I was about to say, I mean, the Browns, like, they hadn't made the playoffs in so long, and then they made the playoffs this year. I think they're actually happy with that. I don't think the season was a bust for them. But like, if the Patriots did that and they didn't win the Super Bowl, it'd be a bust because they're just so used to winning it. So, but I
I
think
think
it's going to
the
be.
biggest thing. I think the biggest thing with Cam Newton, you bring up they didn't know how to use Cam Newton. Bill Belichick got in the habit and the comfortability of having Tom Brady, a true pocket passer. If you've ever seen Tom Brady try to run the ball, it's funny as hell to watch. Between him and Peyton Manning, like neither one of them could run the ball. It was funny. But Bill Belichick got in that. He got comfortable with that because he had it for 20 years. He had Tom Brady for 20 years. That's unheard of, somebody having a 20-year career in the NFL. But then you bring in Cam Newton, and he has no idea how to handle him because Cam Newton doesn't have half the arm that Tom Brady does. Like Cam Newton's throws, like if you watched any of their games, he was off. He was inaccurate. He was throwing them at their feet, above their head. Very few of his passes actually were on the numbers like they're supposed to be, like where the player can catch it right in front of them and take off. Very, very few of his passes were. So Bill Belichick didn't know how to deal with that. So he's like, okay, run the damn ball then because you're good at that. But I think with Mariota, it gives him, yes, Mariota can be that pocket passer, but he can also get out of the pocket and run too. So I think it'd be a big improvement. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl with Mariota, no. But I think if their defense steps up the way that it has, even losing Stephon Gilmore, if their defense steps up the way that it has been over the last like 5 to 6 years, like how good their defense has been, I think they could make the playoffs. I think they could bump the Dolphins out.
Fair enough. Well, one thing too that I noticed with scrolling through, and we kind of mentioned it earlier as well with Russell Wilson. Having the Cowboys as one of his talks of going to their team, and obviously, like you said, he wants to go to a team that has a good offensive line. The Dak Prescott situation, obviously if Russell Wilson goes there, then Dak's not going to be the quarterback going forward. So, that, and the talks of putting Dak on the franchise tag again and different things like that. Do you feel like Dak is gonna have one of those situations like a Kirk Cousins, where he's just gonna go somewhere else and like get paid that big money like Kirk Cousins did, where because the Washington football team kept on franchise tagging him all the time, or do you think he's gonna be a Cowboy, this coming season and go from there type of thing?
I think Dak will be a Cowboy this season, unfortunately. But if the Russell Wilson trade does happen and he goes to the Cowboys, it's going to be a three-way trade. There's no way that like the Cowboys have enough draft capital or anything to kind of go after Russell Wilson, and Dak Prescott's not enough to get Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But so it'll be a three-way trade. I watched one of the trade, like they're setting up and everything and trying to do. It was on ESPN. They were talking about the way the trade would work, and it was like a bunch of draft picks swapping hands. But Derek Carr would go to the Seattle, Dak Prescott to the Raiders, and Russell Wilson to the Cowboys. But it was a whole bunch of like there was like 11 or 12 draft picks swapping too. So it was weird how it would work. But that's really the only way that it would work to get Russell Wilson into Dallas is a 3-team trade, because Dallas doesn't have enough to do it.
Yeah. I feel bad for Dak just because this past year was supposed to be the year that he was going to prove that he needed to get paid, and then he ended up getting injured. He was having a great season, but the Cowboys were having a great season on offense because their season on defense was like so terrible. So they were always putting up a lot of numbers because they were on the field most of the time after the defense, just let a team score, So with that, I guess, the Cowboys, I think, have the number 10 pick in the draft. Do you think that, Jerry Jones pulls his normal stunts and, goes after a quarterback at number 10? Or do you think the coaches and the staff finally wise up and stand up to him and tell him, no, like, we need defense, and he starts like picking some defensive picks finally?
I think they're going to go defense, honestly. I don't think they're going to go for a quarterback. But the one thing that I've learned about the Cowboys is they always take the pretty pick.
Well, yeah.
Like they always take the pretty pick. Like they had Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup last year, and they still took CeeDee Lamb because he was available at 19. When there was a bunch of defensive players they could have gone after. Like, why are they taking a wide receiver? Like, CeeDee Lamb's great. CeeDee Lamb is a great receiver, and I'm pissed that the Raiders took Henry Ruggs instead of CeeDee Lamb. Like, I don't like it. Like, Henry Ruggs, we went after speed. But CeeDee Lamb was more of a proven quarterback. Jerry Jeudy was more of a proven quarterback than Henry Ruggs. Now, I hope Henry Ruggs ends up having a great career. But I think CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy are going to have better careers. And I really like watching the draft. I think we were talking about it while we were doing it. I was hoping that they would have taken CeeDee Lamb. But the Cowboys took him just because he was available. Wasn't the best player for their team, but it was the pretty pick, and that's what Jerry Jones goes for, is the pretty pick. So, I mean, yeah, if you got Justin Fields available at 10, you bet your ass are going to jump on it, which is stupid because they have Dak. It's just dumb that they would do that, but that's Jerry Jones's MO. It's what he's going to do.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. He always takes the sexy pick, and so he's gonna take. I could definitely see him taking a quarterback and then not helping the defense whatsoever. When they historically had the worst defense that they've ever had in the history of their franchise. So it just blows my mind that if you go to work for him or you go to do that no one wants to like stand up to him and just be like, excuse me, like here's all the info, like here's how bad we were on defense, like we need to go defense, like, and you can take sexy picks on defense, like And especially if they turn out to be a superstar, Jalen Ramsey, superstar, Aaron Donald, superstar. Like, you can take a pick and make them into a superstar, like if they do well enough. So they don't have to be on offense to become a household name and to sell tickets. Plenty of people like to see good defensive players as well. Like, no, not everyone goes to games just to watch the offense play. So
I'll say Chase Young was fun to watch this year.
yeah,
he got defensive rookie of the year. Like, he was fun to watch because you could see the love he had for the game, even though he was on a crappy team.
Yeah, that's very true. And that was his local team too. That's where he grew up, so it's he was having fun playing for a team that he watched. So yeah, and like you said with the wide receivers, I'm gonna throw this out there since you had mentioned the wide receivers, that you thought were gonna have, better careers than Ruggs. Justin Jefferson, man, for the Vikings. Like, he blew up. He did better than any of those, and all those players got picked before him.
Wasn't he the 8th receiver picked too?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he got picked way later than all those other people. So he blew up, and that was the wide receiver from LSU. And so I feel like he's gonna have even a better career than some of the guys that got picked over him. So and especially if the Vikings move on from Kirk Cousins, if they finally decide that they want to move on and go with someone else, because I feel like the Kirk Cousins experiment, didn't work out, because they had Case Keenum and they were one game away from the Super Bowl, and so in the Vikings' minds, they were like, we're one quarterback away from a Super Bowl. That's all we need. So they went out and got Kirk Cousins, and they haven't gone to the Super Bowl. So to me, if you're one player away from winning a Super Bowl and you go out and get that one player and you still haven't won it, then it's a failed experiment. Like, it didn't work out. It was a bust. As much as I like Kirk Cousins because he seems like a pretty genuine, decent guy, like off the field, he just seems like a normal, household kind of guy. It's not working. Like, I wish him the best of luck if he goes to another team, but the Vikings, it's not working out. Now, has the defense declined since they, went to the NFC Championship game? Yes, their defense isn't as good. But you have Delvin Cook and Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, all these guys on offense, and you weren't able to produce. I think it's time to move on.
For sure. I agree with that. I don't think Kirk Cousins is an elite quarterback. Like, he never has been. He played good enough to get paid. That was about it.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, he's better than I would ever be at that level, by far. But is he elite? No, not even close. I don't even think he's a top 15 quarterback. I'd probably put him somewhere in the range of 18 to 20.
Alrighty, awesome. Well, was there anything else that we missed with, like, NFL that's been going around and talking about that you wanted to bring up? Did you want to bring up anything with, like, Jimmy G or
no, because there hasn't been any real updates on him. I know that the Patriots were talking, if they can't get Mariota, they're going to go after Jimmy G because he knows the system. He's a system guy.
Yeah.
But then, are the 49ers really going to give him up without having somebody able to come in and handle it? Probably not. So, yeah, I don't know. There's not really a lot going on, other than it seems like there is because of the Russell Wilson and the Deshaun Watson, but there hasn't been any news on the Deshaun Watson front on what's going on, other than I think John Gruden's right when he said that there's no way in hell that they trade him. They're not going to trade him.
Yeah.
And if he sits, but they're not going to trade Deshaun Watson. Why would you trade the best player on your team?
Well, I mean, they traded DeAndre Hopkins. He was one of the best players on their team.
Yeah, but he wasn't happy.
Well, I mean, Deshaun Watson is not happy.
I know. I don't know, dude. I don't think that they're going to trade him. I think they're going to punish him for it. Make him stay a Texan. Make him sit out and lose money, which is going to suck. But it's going to be the business side of it, of the Texans stepping up and saying, you know what, you want to talk crap on us? Screw you. You get to suffer now.
Yeah.
You don't want to play, sit out a year, pull a Le'Veon Bell, and watch how good that does for you.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, moving on to NBA stuff, just because that's like the big thing that's going on right now. The big topic that a lot of people are discussing, Kyrie Irving kind of bringing it up that he's pushing for the NBA logo to be changed to Kobe Bryant, to honor Kobe Bryant and his legacy. I know in the years past that they've talked about it being changed, to Michael Jordan for the logo. All these great players changing it to them. And of course, that'd be a great way to honor his legacy. How do you feel about the discussion of changing the NBA logo to Kobe?
I'm good either way, honestly. Like, I mean, the logo right now is Jerry West, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm good either way. Keep it Jerry West, change it to Kobe, change it to Michael Jordan. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change the NBA. It's not going to change the face of the NBA. It's not a big deal. Like, other leagues have gone through and changed their logo. Now, why the NBA logo is a player where no other sport really has that,
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. But whatever, do it. All it's going to do is in the future understand that if they change it from Jerry West to Kobe Bryant in 30, 40 years, they're probably going to want to change it again to somebody else that was just as good. Some kid that came out of college. Like, they need to understand that that's kind of the route they're going down is, oh, well, we can change it to any player that we want. I get the Kobe Bryant thing. One of the greatest players to ever play the game tragically died in the helicopter crash. We want to honor him. We want to have a tribute to him. Does the NBA logo really do that? Like, honestly, there's other ways to do it. Like, but I mean, if they change it, they change it. If they don't, they don't. Like I said, I'm good either way. I don't really care. Like, I still have a problem with the NBA because I'm tired of hearing about LeBron James and how great he is. And like, put him on a team where he doesn't have another superstar. Let's see how good he really is.
I mean, they did do that when he was on the Cavs, and they weren't ever able to win.
Yeah,
and that's why he went to the Heat.
but then you look at this year, they were on a tear. They were doing great. Anthony Davis goes down. They've lost 4 straight.
Yeah.
Including a blowout by the Jazz. Like, they lost by almost 30 points to the Jazz, and not one Jazz player scored over 18 points.
Man.
Like, Donovan Mitchell didn't go off. Bojan didn't go off. None of them went off. Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley both scored 18 points against the Lakers.
Yeah.
And the Lakers were blown out by the Jazz by almost 30 points. LeBron James needs another superstar on the team to take that, because then what happens is it takes the focus off of LeBron. And it's like, okay, well, now we got to guard this guy too. Without that, the focus is on LeBron and you shut LeBron down.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody else on the team to help him actually finish.
Yeah, that's true. It's one of those things, I guess, going back to the Kobe as the logo thing real quick, and then I'll talk about with what you said with LeBron. I like some of the things that was said on the Sports Grid when I was on that earlier in the week about this problem, and someone said they should it would better honor him to almost like a Walter Payton Man of the Year award, have like a Kobe Bryant Man Year award, and kind of
Yeah, do that.
yeah, and have where honoring him with how an NBA player helps outside of the community, like the NFL has. And I thought that was brilliant. I think that's a great idea because the logo thing doesn't seem as much of an honor because the NBA is making money off of the logo. It's their trademark. So they put it on everything. They put it on their hats, their shirts, like everything. So and it's a silhouette. How are you going to know that it's Kobe, unless other than the NBA just coming out and saying, okay, we're making the logo Kobe. Then yes, obviously everyone knows, okay, well, the logo is Kobe. But when you just look at it, you wouldn't know that it was him because it's a silhouette. So
Well, and very few people in our generation even know that it's Jerry West.
yeah, I had no idea it was him until I was on the podcast this week. One of the hosts that I was on there with was like, yeah, it's Jerry West. And I had no idea. I had no idea it was Jerry West. I thought it was just a silhouette of a player. Like,
yeah, well, it is Jerry West.
well, just any player, I just, because like the MLB, it's a batter. Is it a specific batter that the MLB has as their logo?
Not that I know of.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I thought the NBA was, because I was just like, well, I mean, the MLB has a baseball player and it's not a specific player. So I thought it was the same thing with the NBA, but apparently it's Jerry West. So it's like, so, but.
Well, hell.
Yeah.
It is actually somebody.
What, the baseball?
But, yeah, the MLB. It is somebody.
Who is it?
Harman Killebrew.
What?
Harman Killebrew.
Who the hell is that?
He played. Let me look here.
Like, I thought it'd be someone who's like broken records, like a Hank Aaron or Lou Gehrig or Babe Ruth. Like,
well, Harman Killebrew was he's in the Hall of Fame, so he played in the 50s.
Oh, I'm sorry that I didn't know who that was.
Wow, he played 1954 to 1975. He had MVPs. Wow, he had a lot of them.
Well, hey, there you go. Learn something new every day. Now I know that the MLB logo is someone. It's a person.
Yep. But honestly, like the logo, I think changing the logo isn't going to make a difference. Like it'll make a difference now, like today. But give it 20 years, people aren't going to know who it is.
And then they'll want it to change to LeBron once LeBron passes,
Right. But people in 20 years will have no idea who it is.
Yeah.
Just like today, people don't know that it's Jerry West.
Yeah. True. Yeah, that's true.
I like that idea though, the Kobe Bryant Man of the Year award or something like that, because Kobe Bryant always did a lot for the LA community. He really did.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I think that was a really cool idea that one of the guys had on the podcast that I was on. So yeah, and then with LeBron, yeah, I think you're right. He's always needed a supporting cast around him to win. I thought it was interesting, when they won the NBA title this year, that Anthony Davis was like, you need to put some respect on this guy's name. He is the GOAT, like he is the best. Because he's the only player to win a title, on 4 different teams or 3 different teams? 3? Yeah, 3 different teams. So I don't know if that really says a lot. It just says, okay, I need to move around and be on different teams to be able to win. I don't think it says like, oh yeah, I go to a team and then I make them great. Like he went to the Lakers when they had all those rookies and and the Lakers weren't that great. and they didn't do anything. He didn't make that team great. He had
They
to
didn't even
sit
make the
there and
playoffs.
huh?
They didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And so he had to sit there and dissect that team and basically just be like, well, I'm the GM now. I'm a player, but I'm the GM, and I'm going to decide who goes and who comes in and who you trade for and how much you trade for them. And they gave up all their young talent that they tried to get through the NBA draft. They say trust the process is the thing in the NBA. Trust the process. They got all those young players and they got rid of all of them just because LeBron James told them to.
Yeah, and look at all those players now, like Brandon Ingram, Larry Nance. Well, no, Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson went over to the Cavs while he was still there. So, but I mean, you look at a bunch of the players that were there. Lonzo Ball,
Yeah.
like they're all having career years. They're all playing very well, all of them. And it's like, this could have been the Lakers team, but no, LeBron had to tear it apart.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I'm biased because I'm a Bulls fan, and so Michael Jordan in my eyes is always going to be known as the greatest. But like you said, everyone's just trying to give LeBron all this credit, for everything that's been going on, everything that's been happening. And let's take a look at the standings right now for everything that's been going on. Let me take a look here.
The Jazz are still number one, even though they lost last night. That's what's crazy. Like they since they've been on this tear, they haven't gone loss, win, loss, and that's exactly what they did.
Let's take a look here. So right now, like you said, the Jazz in the West, the Jazz are in first. They're at 26 wins and 7 losses. The Clippers are behind them at 24 wins, 11 losses, and then the Lakers at 23 and 11 losses. The Phoenix Suns in fourth place. Look at that.
Yeah.
21 wins and 11 losses.
Yeah.
What?
Ever since they got Chris Paul.
What's going on with that?
Well, Chris Paul has actually pulled some of the pressure off of Devontae Booker. I think that's his name, right?
Yeah, Booker, yeah.
Or Devin Booker. It's Devin Booker, right? I can't remember. I know it's Booker, but Booker and DeAndre Ayton, they have been playing amazing.
Let's take a look here. Devin Booker.
Yeah, it's Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton.
Yep, DeAndre Ayton. Yep, and then Chris Paul.
They've been playing like a big three, and they've actually been really, really good this whole year. So it's kind of cool to watch.
That's crazy.
Look at my team. They were in like 7th place for a while, and then they dropped. They're in 12th.
Let me take a look here because I was looking at the names, so I got sidetracked. Oh, and then 5th place is the Spurs. They're 16 and 12. 6th place is the Trailblazers, 18 and 14. 7th place, Golden State Warriors, trying to make the playoffs after not making it last year. They're 19 and 15. Then the Denver Nuggets at 17 and 15, and then just outside of them are the Dallas Mavericks, the Grizzlies, the Pelicans as well. I'm surprised with the Mavericks. They have one of the best players in the NBA on their team, and
he's a front runner for the MVP this year.
Yeah. You just put your hands up.
The supporting cast isn't helping him.
Yeah.
And Luka Doncic is not the name like LeBron James, where a superstar will come play with him. Give them another superstar, they're probably number 2, number 3.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. If he keeps on playing the way that he's playing, people will want to start, going and playing with him. It will eventually happen. And then let's take a look at the East. So the East right now, 76ers still staying strong in first. They're 22 and 11. Behind them, the Nets at 22 and 12. The Bucks in third place, surprisingly, at 20-13. I'm not saying the Bucks are doing bad, but the Bucks were, the most dominant team in the East the past 2 years. Yeah, they kind of flopped in the playoffs, but I don't know if their momentum is starting to go, downhill. They're starting to lose traction after dominating for 2 years. We'll see. I mean, third place is still good, obviously. The Raptors in fourth at 17-17, perfect 500 record there. Miami on a 5-game win streak. They're up there in fifth place now at 16-17. I think in their 5-game win streak, they had beaten the Lakers as well. I'm pretty sure in that 5-game win streak.
And they beat the Jazz last night.
Oh, well, there you go. And then sixth place is the Knicks, which is kind of surprising at 16-17. And then the Celtics at 16-17. I thought the Celtics would be a lot higher as well. That's kind of surprising to me. The Pacers at 15-16 in eighth place, the last seed for a playoff. My Chicago Bulls at 15-17. They're kind of, nipping at the heels for eighth place.
They're half a game out of fifth place.
Huh?
They're half a game out of fifth place.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where I would be really excited if they just made the playoffs in general, even if it's at the eighth seed, because it's been a very long time since the Bulls have made the playoffs. Bless you. Wow. If we're playing the 76ers, yeah, we're losing in the first round. But it's one of those things that it would just be good to, at least make the playoffs again. And at least have that under our belt. That's why I was saying, before when I was talking about the Browns and how excited they were that they at least made the playoffs, even though they lost. I feel like I would be happy for the Bulls that they at least made the playoffs. It wouldn't be a bust for me as a fan if we lost once we got there. So,
no, there's one thing I want to point out that's really funny. In the Eastern Conference, from fifth place to eighth place is all losing records.
Yeah,
and
you're actually right.
If you go to the Western Conference, eighth place is a winning record. So the Eastern Conference starting to look like the NFC East.
Oh man, no.
You can have a losing record and make the playoffs, guys.
No, don't do that. Oh, that's
have
that's
a 2-game win
savage.
streak. Just have a 2-game win streak and we're in the playoffs.
That's terrible.
But it's true.
Oh my gosh.
The freaking the Heat were 11-17.
Yeah.
Before they hit this 5-game win streak. 11-17. They go on a 5-game win streak and they jump to fifth place. The Hornets and the Bulls are nipping at the heels of fifth place. They are half a game behind fifth place. That is absolutely terrible.
Hey, we got a lot of games to go. Maybe they can turn it around and not have that many losing records in the East.
Right.
We'll see. I have high hopes. I mean, by far, with you saying that, do I think any team has a chance against the top teams in the West? No. Like I feel like the West is the dominant division. So or conference, I guess you would say. But it's one of those things where you never know. I mean, we all thought that the Raptors were going to get tore up by the Warriors, and then the Raptors ended up winning, in the finals. So, yeah, they had Kawhi, and the Warriors had a lot of injuries, but everyone kind of thought, whoever won the West was going to win the finals, that the East didn't really have a chance. We'll see how good the 76ers can stay, how much momentum can they keep. I think sometimes NBA teams get on these hot streaks and then they play so many games that they start going downhill after a while. They start losing that momentum because it's a lull. You just fall into a lull, and it's just like, okay, well, just waiting for the playoffs, and then they can turn up the intensity again. I mean, look at the Bucks. Like I said, the Bucks the past 2 years had the best record in the NBA, not just in the East. In the NBA, the Bucks had the best record for the past 2 years, and then they lose once they get to the playoffs. Like, they had all that momentum having the best record, and then they can't finish it. So we'll see. We'll see for the 76ers. We'll see for the Jazz. I'm rooting for the Jazz. I really want them to do well, but I just don't want them to have all this momentum and then play however many games they're playing this season, 60, 50, 60 or whatever.
72.
72, there you go. And then not do well in the playoffs. So I just hope they can keep the momentum that they have and everything that's been going on with them.
So the Jazz are the only team in the NBA to be top 5 offense and top 5 defense. Only team in the NBA to have that. I want them to actually win the championship. Like, I'm a Thunder fan, and we're in the same division. Like, same division, not same conference, same division.
Yeah.
And I don't, like, I root for the Jazz a little bit when they're not playing OKC. When they're playing OKC, I'm rooting OKC 100%. But I root for the Jazz a little bit just because that's where I live. And it's nice to see where I live, I have a winning team. Didn't know crap about soccer, watched RSL win the MLS Cup, and I was super ecstatic about that. I'm like, oh my God, we have a championship team here. But back to the Jazz, I want them to win it just so Donovan Mitchell can go, hey, Shaq, what'd you say?
Right? That would be legendary. Just like, they give him the trophy and they're just like, hey, how do you feel? Suck it, Shaq.
And he gets like the MVP, the finals MVP. Oh man.
He's just like holding both trophies and he's just like,
Thought I wasn't the man, Shaq. This is what you get now, son.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, awesome. Alrighty. Well, was there any other major things, I guess, that we needed to bring up or talk about? Not just in NBA, but just in general.
Earl Thomas still not signed.
Earl Thomas still not signed.
But there's a rumor.
Oh, a rumor.
Yes. Gus Bradley, the new defensive coordinator for the Raiders, is talking about recreating the Legion of Boom with the Raiders. Going out, getting Richard Sherman, getting Earl Thomas, maybe bring Cam Chancellor out of retirement.
Oh gosh.
And making a trade for Bobby Wagner.
I thought they were gonna make a trade for Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping. I hope for Stephon Gilmore, but they're talking about trying to make a trade for Bobby Wagner.
I don't know what they would give up for that.
I know. Like, we actually have a fairly decent linebacker core. If Corey Littleton can understand the system a little better, I think he just got thrown in and didn't really understand the system. And it's not a system the same the Rams had, It's not even close to the same that the Rams had. So now having the new system and being able to take the time to understand the system, I think he's going to be back to form this year. So we have Nick Kwiatkowski and Corey Littleton as our main linebackers, and then we have Nicholas Morrow, who definitely stepped up. Raiders need to re-sign him instead of going after a Bobby Wagner. Leave Bobby Wagner alone, let him play his stuff. But I mean, if Earl Thomas can keep his attitude in check and we can get Richard Sherman and make the trade for Stephon Gilmore, I would be stupid ecstatic, because our defense just jumped up.
Yeah.
Because you're taking our number one cornerback of Trayvon Mullen and dropping him to like a number 2 or number 3 behind Richard Sherman and Stephon Gilmore and letting the kid learn.
Yeah.
you know, instead of just here, figure it out. Like Trayvon Mullen's good, don't get me wrong, but he's not on the level of those two, not even close. He could be with enough time,
Yeah.
but no, I just don't want Earl Thomas to be a cancer. If Earl Thomas can come in and actually be Earl Thomas of old before he became the cancer, like, yeah, I'd be happy to have him. I'd be happy to have the Legion of Boom as the Raiders.
That would be cool. You'd have to think of a new name though, just because like, when the Rams had that high powered offense, back in the day, it was the greatest show on turf, because it was in St. Louis. And then when Sean McVay came in, we were scoring all those points, they had to change it to the greatest show on surf, because it was in LA. So I think if you get those players back, we got to think of a different name than the Legion of Boom. It's got to be something else, Raiders related or Vegas related. So
the black hole, the return of the black hole.
There you go. Exactly.
That you ain't getting anything through them.
Nope. Yeah. nothing is escaping. So already. Awesome. Well, as always, we appreciate everyone. We appreciate the listens and the views. We're going to be getting March Madness going here soon. I'm not sure the official date of when March Madness actually starts, when the tournament starts. Need to probably look that up and get going on that.
That's funny that you bring that up, because as soon as you brought that up, it triggered something.
Yeah.
There is an announcement that if a team has been selected to play in the tournament and the tournament starts and then they opt out because of COVID, then they're not being replaced by another team.
So they basically forfeit.
It's just a forfeit. So there's not going to be another team that comes in to take their place.
Alrighty, fair enough. Well, it'll be interesting because I feel like there's a lot of schools that don't have the big names like Duke and North Carolina and stuff like that are going to be making it this year because the big names haven't been stepping up like they usually do during the regular season. So it'll be interesting with that. Of course, we'll do our normal March Madness bracket challenge, which is to beat the experts. So you have to beat both me and Chris to be able to win first place. You got to beat both of us. So if you get first place, we'll be giving away the artwork from the great artist that's been donating stuff to us. We got the tombstone prints that we still have. Maybe we'll get some other stuff if more than one person beats us, so that way we can kind of hand out some more prizes. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll get all that info out on our social media stuff, so you can look more for it on the Sports Harder podcast on Facebook group. You can find us on Instagram at sports_harder_podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at sportsharderp, capital S, capital P. We have our YouTube, which has been a lot of fun. It's been going really well. So subscribe, like it, share it, so you get those notifications when we do post our YouTube videos. And we've been having a lot more special guests, which have been fun. I've been going on other people's podcasts, which has been fun. So hopefully we'll keep that trend up and keep it exciting, keep it new. So that way you're not having to hear us all the time, get some different perspectives, get some other fan base, fans of other teams other than just our teams. So, you can listen to us on Spotify as always, Anchor, Apple Podcast, all the major podcast distributors will have us. Just search for Sports Harder Podcast. And that's about it. Just and as always, you can comment and like our stuff, and we'll shout you guys out whenever you comment on us. But yeah, until next week, then we will catch you guys on the flip side.
Later.
Peace.